looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.
And welcome back to the latest and greatest episode of the Shaving Points podcast. We are back. I got my voice back. Ready to roll. My name is Jayton May. You can find me on Twitter at JMay56. Joined, as always, by my co-host, Quentin Crisco. How are we doing tonight, Quentin?
Doing good, Jay. I'm coming off, let's see, I believe fourth. So for the last 6 weeks, I am up 10.8 units on the NFL. It is rolling. It is going good. I am excited. That is a record of 23-11 over that span. So I'm ready to rock. I'm loving it.
Wow. I can't believe it. Yeah, no, I'm not doing good in NFL. I went a little bit better than breaking even with my 2-unit bet, but yeah,
over the last 4 weeks, you're up 4 units.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Starting to roll.
I mean, on the season, you're down 6.2, but a lot of that is still that 3-unit play on Cowboys money line.
I might do it again.
The Eagles.
I might have to do it again.
Which, hey, I was with you. I had a unit on it. I mean, it was a good bet. So,
yeah,
I mean, you're really not that. Like, your number looks worse than you are. Like, you're 34-36, but you're down 6 units.
Yeah, it's brutal. Going into week 14, playoff picture starting to come alive. All the injuries and everything, the AFC is not the beast that we thought it was going to be. Looks like the favorites are going to come out of the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, it's been weird. It's been just flat out weird. I mean, Baltimore looks awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, if I were to say name the best 5 teams in football, at least 3 of them are coming out of the NFC.
Yeah, probably. I mean, so in the AFC, like, well, you could probably still put the Chiefs in there, even though, I mean, it's hard right now.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. Like,
yeah, they still have Pat Mahomes.
Until he doesn't do it, he gets the benefit of the doubt. You have the Ravens and you have Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because outside of that, the AFC, like, what are you looking at? You're looking at
Trevor Lawrence might be out. I mean, CJ Stroud and those Texans are dangerous.
Miami,
but I mean,
I might put Miami up there with, like, I don't know who I would kick out. So I mean,
they're definitely.
I feel like there has to be a top 6. I think Miami belongs in there.
Yeah, I could see that, and I mean, the Chiefs are only there because of Patrick Mahomes, so you could almost knock the Chiefs out for Miami if we're doing a real top 5. But at the end of the day, chips on the table. Like, it's hard to bet against Pat Mahomes.
Absolutely is.
But getting into week 14, storylines: Trevor Lawrence maybe out for an extended amount of time.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. We'll see.
It's spicy.
I mean, nobody seems to know what's going on there.
All I know is that every
that
Twitter,
Panthers loss is gonna haunt the Texans, I feel like.
Yeah. Every Twitter what is it? Personal trainer, professional trainer, PT that I see out there looked at the Trevor Lawrence video and said that's not a high ankle sprain. So there's something weird there. Like, it's an ankle sprain, but it sounds like it's not a high ankle sprain. It's just a normal ankle sprain, which is a completely different thing.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes played on an ankle sprain from week 15 on and won the Super Bowl.
Well, his was high, wasn't it?
No, it was just a regular.
I thought his actually, like, his bone was broken. It was a high ankle sprain.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was just a regular sprain, but either way.
I remember because I made a big mess about Patrick Mahomes is going to win a Super Bowl on a broken leg.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the storyline. It will always be the storyline.
Yeah.
But college football playoffs is announced.
Wait, so when does I saw that you sent college football playoff picks. When does it start?
Not till like New Year's, I think. I just took a future, and I took the national championship matchup.
Okay.
So, but
I saw your picks that you sent me, and I was like, wait, playoff, like, that's not for a few weeks, I thought.
No, I just went ahead and grabbed them because I felt like they were good value. But the bowl games start on, I think, the 16th, so we got a little bit before then. But college football playoff, did they get it right?
I mean, I think so.
I think the only
It's
way
not fair.
the only reason why I say they didn't get it right, because if you're talking 4 best teams, Georgia should have been in. Georgia was one of the 4 best teams. So if you're going to make the precedent over the 4 best teams, then Georgia should have been in. If you're just going to say, oh, well, we thought Bama looked better than Florida State, then Georgia also looked better than Florida State, but you put Florida State at 5 and Georgia at 6. So at
What
that
about
point,
the 4 best conference champs?
well, I mean, but I mean, I don't even know if, I guess technically,
Like, that's the
but
way I look at it. It's the 4 best conference champs.
yeah. But I mean, that doesn't line up historically, because I mean, they've put in they've put in runner-ups before. I mean, they put in 2 SEC teams last
Well,
year.
they did
we
it
got
wrong before.
2.
They're fixing it. I applaud
Yeah.
them for fixing it. No, I'm kidding. But
My only
really,
thing is that
I mean,
if you're doing truly 4 best teams, then I don't know who gets left out between Washington and Texas, but Georgia should have been in. And if you're not doing 4 best teams and you're just saying Florida State doesn't deserve to be in because they lost their quarterback, then I don't know. It's the whole Georgia Alabama situation is weird, because I mean, I think you play that game 10 times. I think Georgia comes out on top more often than not. But
I don't know. You and I were both on Bama.
yeah, to cover.
And hey, I had that money line. I had that money line like 5 different ways in parlays. I had a nice Saturday.
But no, it should be a great matchup. But week
really,
14,
I think Texas would be the odd guy out if you were saying Georgia needs to be.
which is crazy,
I
because
do not think you could keep Washington out. I think Washington is filthy.
yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, honestly, I think Michigan is the worst team out of the whole 4, and they're ranked 1. So,
Might be.
but you're not going to leave Michigan out. All right. So week 14 NFL, we made it.
Started up.
Patriots Steelers. Do you have this game?
No, it's gross. Well, I put every game on our board here just so we could just say how
Okay.
gross they are and move on.
Okay. So it's a gross game. We getting Bailey Zappi for the Patriots and
Yep.
True God.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, so gross. It will be a background noise for me probably, if even that. Got to catch up on some other stuff tomorrow, so there's a good chance I don't watch this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly hoping we see Malik Cunningham, just because I've got him on my dynasty league team sitting on the bench just in case he somehow miraculously becomes a thing. And I just want to see Malik Cunningham play some football. That's what I want to see in this game. Really. So the spread here was 5.5 Steelers favorite. That's what it was yesterday. Total.
I saw 6 before we started. Yeah.
So up to 6 now. I mean, you could take the Steelers. I don't know. You could.
I would take the
under.
Patriots. I don't
think I'd take the over. Yeah. So I have heard logic around it. Like when an under is 30, Vegas is telling you there's not going to be more than 30 points scored in this game.
No.
6 is a big line. The smart money probably is Patriots here, but it's disgusting. I want nothing to do with it. Staying away.
Yeah. No, we can move on from that one. Texans Jets, kind of gross, but CJ Stroud is electric. So, I mean, he's must watch TV right now. So,
yeah, I mean, the spread opened up at 6.5. We were talking a little bit about a pre-show that we think it has to do with Zach Wilson being announced as starter. Like that's the only thing that comes to mind as to why it would jump from the Texans being 6.5 point favorites to only 3.5 point favorites. I'm not sure Zach Wilson's worth 3 points.
I don't think so either, but I do have the Texans this game minus 3.5. Will Anderson Jr. kind of had his breakout moment last week. Derek Stingley starting to play at the level of cornerback that they drafted him at. The whole defense under DeMeco Ryans has just come alive, and CJ Stroud is looking like a top 5 quarterback right now in his rookie season. Looking like arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I like Texans to keep it rolling here. I like Texans minus 3.5.
The Texans might be the best coaching staff in football. Bobby Slowick, his dad was a defensive coordinator in the league for years. His brother is a linebackers coach with the Dolphins. Football is in his blood. He's the offensive coordinator there. He is a defensive guy historically. Like he started in the NFL as a defensive analyst and then moved up as a defensive assistant, then became an offensive analyst. He's the only guy left who was on that Shanahan coaching staff in Washington that hasn't become a head coach. He actually took a few years off and went to work for PFF. PFF Brad says this guy's a genius.
Yeah.
When I talk to him, so there's a lot to like in the Texans coach staff. Monty Kiffin's son is on their defensive coaching staff. Like there are bloodlines through this whole coaching staff. I love this Texans team. CJ Stroud is outstanding. I'm with you. Texans -3.5. It's an easy bet to me. I mean, Zach Wilson doesn't want to play for the Jets. I'm sure the rest of the team's going to be inspired by that.
Yeah, it's just Jets are in a terrible spot. So,
yeah. Next up here, we got the Sean McVay led Los Angeles Rams going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens coming off a bye week. The Ravens, 7.5 point favorites here, total 40.5. You got anything on this, Jay?
Yeah, I'm taking Ravens -7 here. Ravens coming off a bye, Harbaugh coming off a bye. Ravens look like one of the best teams in football. Rams have been kind of up and down all season. They looked good last week, so I expect them to be down this week just off that logic alone. And this AFC is the Ravens to lose at this point almost. So I like the Ravens to come out hot. I like them to come out strong. And I like them to cover this number. I have them at -7, but yeah, I like the Ravens. I like Lamar. I mean, the MVP race is kind of up for grabs, and I think the Ravens know that it would. I mean, I think they want to go get Lamar that MVP if possible, and he hasn't really had a break.
Purdy's a lock.
No. I don't think Lamar hasn't had that breakout game in a while. I mean, the Ravens have been kind of rolling, but I mean, Lamar's been pretty mild, mid, but like not in a bad way. I mean, they just haven't had to rely on him for anything, and I could see them just busting it open here late in the season, going on, putting up big numbers on the board, and that's going to start with Lamar. So yeah, I like this Ravens -7 here.
So my initial thoughts on this game, Ravens at home, coming off the bye. They should handle the Rams. But when I saw it at 7.5, my brain said, McVay's a good coach. This is a really good coaching staff in LA. They get a lot out of their players. I don't think there's a staff that does more with less in the NFL than the Rams. So I saw 7.5, and I said, you know what, I'm staying away. But at 7, I like it. So you said that move to 7. I just opened up my FanDuel account, saw 7, took it, boom. I'm with you.
I like it.
Next up here, we got Panthers marching into New Orleans to take on the Saints. Another gross one. You got anything here?
No, I don't have anything here. The Saints kind of sometimes show like they have life, and then they don't have life, and then they have life again, and then they don't have life. I don't know what they're doing. Derek Carr had one of the most hilarious injury reports ever. They just basically said he's broken. And they can't throw the ball whenever they have Taysom Hill in, and they refuse to let Jameis sling it. So I don't know what they do here, but I mean the Panthers are so bad. So Bryce Young doesn't look good. I mean they're just in such disarray that what's the spread on this game?
5.5. Saints
5.5.
Total at 37.5.
So that's even a gross number at that. I'm staying far away from this. So, I mean, I know as a Bears fan, I mean, just hope for Saints money line and move on.
Oh yeah, always hoping for whoever's playing the Panthers to win this season.
Yeah,
but 37.5, man, that's low. And I don't think it's going to go over. I'm not gonna sit here and say I think it's gonna go under either. Like I just don't like the spot. But like you're looking at a lot of low totals this week because it's a really bad weather week. There's gonna be a lot of snow, a lot of cold throughout
But this is in the dome.
a lot of these outdoor stadiums, and that's what I'm getting at. This one's indoors and it's that low. Like that's I don't know. That feels weird. So maybe I kind of like the over, but I don't. I don't trust either of these teams to score over like 21 points either side. Like the Panthers, I don't even know if I trust them to score 14. So that's tough. I'll lean the Saints. The Panthers almost pulled it off last week. I think they're gonna be hungry still. New interim head coach, new message in the building. Only one loss under his belt. I do think there's some hunger there. So like that's why it's just a lean to the Saints. I'm not taking them. Just don't like anything about this game.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up here, we got the Indianapolis Colts going to one of those bad weather outdoor stadiums in Cincinnati. Another gross game. No Joe Burrow. No Anthony Richardson. You like anything here?
Yeah, I actually like the Bengals here +1 at home. Basically, Bengals money line. I mean, they look like they had some juice under Jake Browning. I mean, offensive line looked like it was playing well. They were running the ball well against the Jaguars. I mean, Jamar Chase, I mean, just get that man the ball and he'll do something with it. T. Higgins looked good. I mean, everything about this Bengals team, I mean, they made it simple for Jake Browning. I assume they're going to keep it simple for him. Play good defense. And this Minshew mania, I don't see it lasting. I mean, we've seen Gardner Minshew do this before, but I mean, he's one of those guys that he can come in and win you 3, 4, 5 games, but he's not the guy you really want leading a franchise, and that's why he's going to be one of the best career backups in the history of the league, I think. I think he's going to have a legendary career as a backup. But I mean, this Colts team they're one of those teams that they just keep getting away with it. I mean, they just keep finding ways to win games, and the way that Bengals team played against the Jaguars, the way Jake Browning played, the way that defense played, that offensive line, that running game, everything about it. I like the Bengals to roll here. I like Bengals money line or Bengals +1.
Yeah, man.
I think they got some juice. I think they got some juice there.
Yeah, I look at this and it's tough because I see 2 backup quarterbacks, and it's like backup quarterbacks rarely win 2 games in a row, but one of them has to.
Yeah.
So I'm staying away just because I actually wrote down here I'm leaning to Indy, but the Colts secondary is also one of the worst in the NFL outside of Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore is really good, but outside of that, they're not good. And the Bengals are not a team you want to have a bad secondary against. Like those wide receivers can win games for them alone. So ultimately, I decided to stay away. I respect the Bengals one choice. I mean, I honestly think Bengals money line is probably a solid bet this week. Like you're talking about a dome team going out in the snow.
Yeah.
Especially like on top of the factor of the secondary and against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and third guy, what's his name?
Tyler Boyd.
That's one. Tyler Boyd. So I think that's a quality bet. I might sprinkle that money line in a parlay or something like that. But ultimately, for official picks, I'm staying away.
All righty.
Next one here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Hotlanta indoors in a bad weather weekend. I am on this one.
Okay.
You go ahead. Give me your story. I gave you mine.
I was just going to say, it's a terrible division. I mean, somebody's got to win the division. Saints look like they were going to win the division. Now they look like dog shit. I mean, it almost looks like it's the Falcons division to lose at this point. I don't know. But if the Bucs have any inkling of staying alive in that division, they have to win this week. So maybe that gives the Bucs some juice. But I mean, if I were to have to take it, I'll take the Falcons. I'll be right back.
So on this one, Atlanta's offensive line. You look at them, you say, but they only scored 15 against the Jets. Jets are one of the best run defenses in the NFL. This O-line has been playing some really good football lately. I think they're going to create some explosive plays for Atlanta against a Tampa Bay D-line that is talented. Vita Vea is awesome. You know, Kalijah Kancey's been playing really well as a rookie, but they're banged up. They're injured. Shaq Barrett's still there, sure, but a lot of their guys are hurt. They're down. they're down for the count, and they haven't been playing. Maybe they're back this week. I haven't checked the injury report yet, but even if they're back, I don't think they're 100%. I think Atlanta's going to put up points. And then I look on the other side, I see an offense that has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still. Like, Baker Mayfield's banged up, sure, but like those receivers are really good and they keep putting up points week after week after week. I'm taking the over 39.5 here. Indoors, I think this is a falsely low total because it's indoors in a weekend where everything is outdoors. I think that's pulled this number down because everyone's seeing, 39, 30, 40, 40, 30, 40. I think the number's too low here. This number should be 42, 43, I think. That's where I would put it. So give me the over 39.5 on this game.
Don't hit it. Don't hit it at all. A lot of explosive players on both sides of the ball, so it's not a terrible bet indoors on the fast track.
Maybe we'll even see Bijan Robinson get some touches this week. Who knows?
Shit, he got 26 last week or something like that.
Keep the train rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up here, we have the maybe Trevor Lawrence led, maybe not Trevor Lawrence led Jacksonville Jaguars going to Cleveland to take on the dog pound, the Browns. You got anything here, Jay?
No, with the uncertainty in Trevor Lawrence, that Browns defense, I guess Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to play this week. They sent Joe Flacco back to the practice squad.
You sure that wasn't just a roster manipulation thing? They might just need to manipulate the roster and he'll be back.
I'm not sure. Last I heard was that that DTR is going to be back this week playing. I mean, he was out with a concussion last week. I mean, if Joe Flacco plays and Trevor Lawrence doesn't, I might like the Browns just for the fact that I think Joe Flacco is not going to lose you the game. And I don't have faith in a backup Jags quarterback on a pretty lackluster offense this season, honestly. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has had some decent moments, but I mean, they haven't been explosive by any means. And I don't expect that offense to get I don't expect that offense to get.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I don't expect the offense to get much better if he doesn't play. And even if he does play, that Browns defense is absolutely disgusting. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a bet on it, but I would take the Browns with Flacco and with DTR. It's just a gross game.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence's navigation of muddy pockets is a big reason why the Jags are where they are right now. Like, that O-line has been in shambles all year.
Yeah.
And with him being immobilized, like, even if he plays, I question how well he's going to be able to navigate that pressure against one of the best pressure fronts in the league, even though Myles Garrett is hurt. And according to Cleveland.com, seems like a credible source to me. Joe Flacco likely to start versus Jaguars coming off stellar debut 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't start. I mean, he looked good. I mean, didn't make mistakes. Still throws one of the best spirals I've ever seen in my life. But, I mean, he can't move, but you don't have to move, I guess, if you have an offensive line playing that well. I mean, if they still had Nick Chubb, I mean, this team would be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think good's the wrong word. I think elite is the word you're looking for. It is Joe Flacco we're talking about.
That was one of the best spirals ever seen in the history of the NFL.
But staying away. Don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Next up here, we got the Detroit Lions coming to Soldier Field to take on the charter franchise, Monsters of the Midway, Chicago Bears. What do you got here, Jay?
Yeah, so I like the Bears here, actually. Plus 3.5. Bears have been playing good football. Lions defense has looked really, really bad. I think the Bears can keep this close, and I expect it to be a high-scoring game. I like over 43.5, and I like the Bears to cover 3.5. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions have a late lead and the Bears backdoor cover here. I mean, that wouldn't be surprising at all, but that Lions defense has just been so bad lately that with all the screens and everything the Bears run, I mean, they love their screen game. So, I mean, I think they can get the ball in open field, get the ball in the hands of the playmakers. Justin Fields, I mean, if he gets to running the ball and he gets 75 to 125 yards like he's almost guaranteed to do, it seems like these days, I think they can easily stay within this number. And even with the Bears defense playing as good as it's played lately, I mean, I still think the Lions are going to get theirs. So I like over 43.5, and I like Bears plus 3.5.
Yeah, I'm leaning Bears plus 3.5. And I say that cautiously because the Bears have hurt me so many times in my life that I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if I can, but I'm leaning it. That's all I can do is lean. But
Bears win this game, and they have a winning record in their last 9.
Yep. Bears win this game, and I have to worry about Matt Eberflus really being around for more years.
Then you also have to get into the nightmare situation of having a number 1 overall pick and having to make a decision on Justin Fields.
Yeah. And I mean, to be clear, like I love Justin Fields. I want him to succeed, but I just don't think it's going to happen in Chicago. Like we're going to be talking about another new offensive coordinator coming in here next year.
I mean, if you're talking about windows, I mean, you're still rebuilding even if you re-sign Justin Fields. I mean, I know you have all the cap space and everything, but
are they?
If they re-sign Justin Fields, they're still rebuilding.
Let me ask you this.
They're not.
Ask you this.
They're not a couple of pieces away, even if they re-sign Justin Fields long term.
No, with a rookie quarterback. I think this team can make the playoffs next year with a rookie quarterback.
No. But I'm saying if you re-sign Justin Fields, then the window all of a sudden goes from 5 to 6 years to 3 years, and you have to fill every hole immediately and hope you hit everything. To where if you get a rookie quarterback, I think they can make the playoffs next year with a rookie quarterback. And then not only do you have a rookie quarterback, you have assets, whether like you have your own pick and more picks in the future and everything like that. So, and you have all the cap space, so you can build towards you can legitimately build with a rookie quarterback to where the ceiling, if you re-sign Justin Fields, is like we're probably a wild card team to maybe winning the division, and everything has to break our way for a chance at a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, to where you could be thinking Super Bowl in 4 to 5 years with the rookie quarterback.
Yeah. To me, the cap is you bring back Justin Fields, you're the Ryan Tannehill Titans. Like that's the way like maybe you'll get a lucky year where you're 13-3, but you can win in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know. Like that's a tough spot to be. I don't know if that's what you strive to be, especially when you have the number 1 pick. But anyways,
I think his value is going to be good too if they end up going a different route and trading him. I also
he's going to look so clean in those throwback Atlanta Falcons black uniforms. Like it's going to be filthy. It's going to be disgusting.
I also wouldn't hate it if they took a Caleb Williams and let Justin Fields play another year, and then either trade him before the trade deadline next year or trade him at the end of the season. And like after they pick up his 5th-year option, then somebody gets him on a 1-year rental, and then they can decide if they want to pay him or not.
Yeah, it wouldn't be I don't think that'd be the worst thing on earth. I'm of the belief that if the roster is there, you start the kid day 1, and the roster will be there.
Yeah, I mean
it's not like the roster that Justin Fields walked into. Hell no, like that thing was in shambles. But this roster is going to be in a really good spot next year, O-line and wide receiver wise. Like I think you're in a spot where it's most beneficial to just start the kid day 1.
Yeah, but we saw a really good Chiefs team go with. And then you hear the stories about Patrick Mahomes walking on to the practice field his rookie year, and every single player on the team being like, "Oh, this kid should be starting," and they ran out Alex Smith all year, and then lost in the first round, second round.
So that's the exception to me. The Pat Mahomes and the Aaron Rodgers, where they had serious mechanical things to work out. Like Aaron Rodgers completely reworked his throwing motion when he was on the bench.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes had a lot to clean up mechanically from his time at Texas Tech. There was a reason he didn't go until 10. Like it was because of his mechanical issues. The questions of will this be sustainable? Like there was a lot he cleaned up in that year. And I don't think that Caleb or Drake May. I don't think you're looking at that same type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. I mean, you hear the stories about the guys on the team, and they were like, he should have started that year. Like we might have had another Super Bowl.
Yeah, maybe he should have. But I was just saying more to that point. Then, if there wasn't that much that he had to work on, then yeah, he probably should have been starting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even what we've seen of Patrick Mahomes about like the accountability and all that, it's like if you would have thrown him in day one and he wasn't quite technically ready, it seems like, I mean, it's revisionist history, but it seems like he would have figured it out.
Yeah, I tend to think so. I tend to think guys do when the situation around them is not detrimental to them. Like if the O-line's good enough, if the pass catchers are good enough, I think guys will figure it out.
Yeah.
If there's stuff that's going to create bad habits for them, like a leaky O-line or guys who can't catch the football or run the right routes or hit the right depth of their routes or anything like that, then I think a guy should sit. But that's the only reason. And I think this Bears team is going to have, DJ Moore plus maybe a Romo Dunze or a Malik Neighbors. You find a center, and this O-line is in a really good spot. Like you're talking about an offense that really is pretty much. I was talking about this on my Bears podcast. The difference between the Detroit Lions offense and the Bears offense right now is very small, talent-wise, and it's very similar. Like the center position is the main difference.
No,
that's really it. And a Jahmyr Gibbs, who's, I mean, I shouldn't say just a Jahmyr Gibbs, but like
tight end.
That's a running back. Tight end, I mean, that's the gap, but like DJ Moore to Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably pretty similar.
But I mean, I think Josh Reynolds is quite a bit ahead of Darnell Mooney. And then
what?
Josh Reynolds has looked good.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney hasn't looked good this year because Justin Fields can't get past his first read. Darnell Mooney is still Darnell Mooney. Like, Darnell Mooney is still getting open out there. Ain't nothing changed about the way he plays the game. It's his targets that's changed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe the gap is smaller than I think. I think the Lions got some dudes out there, though. I mean, offensive line, clearly, but
I mean, let me put it this way: I think Josh Reynolds is a guy that you can find in free agency any given year.
Yeah, Jamison Williams is starting to step up a little bit for him, but
yeah, Jamo has started to do some stuff.
What you worry about with Jamison Williams is like, is he going to be John Ross?
Yeah, I mean, for different reasons, but yeah.
But
anyways, back to the bets. I got over 40.5 on this. This number has jumped up, so I feel good about the number. Like I got it at 40.5. It's up at 43.5. I feel really good about that. It's going to be snowy. It's going to be cold. It's going to be nasty. There's going to be like 20-mile-per-hour winds out there. So I understand why it's low, but the last 3 times these two teams have faced off, there's been 57, 51, and 61 points scored.
Yeah,
I feel really good about this over. Like Justin Fields gets a lot of rushing yards against the Lions defense. They're not built to stop a running quarterback like him. They just don't have the dudes. They don't have the horses, I don't think. So at that point, you're talking about a very versatile offense because Justin Fields' legs are an absolute factor from the start.
Yeah.
So next up here, Seahawks at 49ers. What do you think about this game, Jay?
I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts about this game. I think Seahawks played the absolute best game they could have played against the Cowboys last Thursday night. I think that was if we have any chance at this division, if we have any hopes of winning the division and not just making a wild card, we got to win this game. They played phenomenal in a losing effort. And I just don't know if they can do it again. The 49ers look like they're rolling, but you never know, division game. I'll probably lean the 49ers here just because of how good they've looked recently. But, I mean, they also played one of their best games of the season against the Eagles. So it says gross here. It could either be a really good game. Yeah. Like, it might be gross, it might be good, or it might be a blowout. Like, it could be anything. It's hard to judge because like both of these teams are coming off one of their best performances of the entire year. One of them coming in a losing effort, one of them coming in a dominant win. So
my logic
don't know what we're getting here.
if you don't tell me the teams and you just tell me what you just said, both these teams coming off their best game, one in a losing effort and one in a dominant win,
Yeah.
I take the loser 9 times out of 10. Right?
Yeah.
But this San Fran team looks really good, and they beat the crap out of Seattle a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Seattle does have a rest advantage here, 3 extra days over the 49ers, which I do think matters in this aspect. And I think the Seahawks are going to come out swinging. I think they are going to be motivated. They are like Geno was banged up that last game really badly. Like, yeah, I remember pregame that they were showing him like getting his arm worked on a table in the quarterback room for some reason while he was studying tape. Like, it was a short week, I guess. They had to multitask. I think Geno's right again. Like, he looked really right last week. He looked just fine.
Yeah.
So I do think this is going to be a different Seahawks team. I'm still not that confident that they cover just because San Fran has looked so good. But, man, that entire San Fran team had that Eagles game circled on their calendar.
Oh, yeah.
That Eagles game. Like, that was their game, the game
Debo
that they've
had-
been looking at
Debo
since
had the
the
game of his
schedules
life.
came out. So, like, I mean, I want to take – I'm taking a strong lean to the Seahawks on this. I couldn't bring myself to bet it, but I have a strong lean on it, and I'll probably end up with a little bit of cash on it by the time Sunday rolls around.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's a bad spot to be in at all.
Next up, and for reference, Seattle was a 10.5-point dog in that one. So next up here, we got the Minnesota Vikings, Josh Dobbs, going to Vegas to take on the Aiden O'Connell-led Raiders. And Aiden O'Connell looks a little bit like a pirate, I think. But what do you think about this game, Jay?
Not a whole lot. I mean, Josh Dobbs. I mean, we've seen this train 3 times this year. I feel like. I mean, starts hot, and then it seems like the more he knows about the offense, the worse he gets. Don't really know what to think about it. I mean, the Vikings look like they might have some life, and then they look dead in the water. Raiders have been the same way. Yeah, I mean, this won't be a game that I'm paying close attention to at all.
Yeah, so I got a strong lean towards the Raiders here just because they're at home. Both teams coming off a bye week. But I do think Minnesota's going to have a bit of a bounce back. I mean, I think Josh Dobbs does have some sustainability in this league. I don't think it was just a backup being figured out. I think he's too smart and he's seen too many things at this point in his career. And I have a theory with quarterbacks that, like, if you can stick around long enough to see enough, you can be pretty decent. Like, That's where I think Josh Dobbs is. He's been around long enough, seen enough different offenses and enough different defenses with just the right amount of game experience that I think he is good enough to be dangerous on any given Sunday. And after an embarrassing loss, that scares me, especially with Kevin O'Connell, who is such a good head coach. And you forget that Josh Dobbs has only been there for a few weeks. Like, it's not like they've been able to implement a ton of stuff. The bye week is when they got the chance to look at their playbook, really go through it.
We might be getting Justin Jefferson back.
Dobbs likes. Oh, and we might be getting Justin Jefferson back. I'm glad I took this off my betting sheet because I said I have a lean towards the Raiders, and that's all it is. It's a lean. It lean to Raiders +3, but I'm staying away. I do like that the degree of mystery kind of with the interim head coach going into the bye week. We don't know what all he's going to change, and that's why I'm leaning towards the Raiders at home.
Yeah.
But there's a similar degree of mystery with Josh Dobbs. So
I mean, it's gross. I mean, this whole slate's kind of gross. So
see, no question mark on this one. Just blatantly gross.
Yeah.
All right. Next up here, we got the Denver Broncos going to play a home game in Los Angeles against the Chargers. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so I don't think the Chargers should be favored by 3 against anybody, much less a red-hot Broncos team that barely lost. Russell Wilson played his worst game of the season. I don't expect that to happen again. Chargers are bad. They're in complete disarray. They're going to probably fire everybody at the end of the season. I don't know what to do with the Justin Herbert situation because he looks good. Quentin Johnson looks like he might be the worst first-round pick in the history of the NFL outside of.
I thought he did it. I thought he did a little bit last week.
I mean, he got open and dropped balls.
Oh wait, he did have that bad drop. You're right.
3 bad drops.
Oh, I only saw one.
But yeah, I mean,
Man.
doesn't look good. I mean, Justin Herbert's doing everything he can and then some, and just getting no help, no support. Derwin James came up and made a couple of big plays last week. I mean, you could just go through this entire team and just name dudes.
Man.
I mean, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Rashawn Slater, Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. I mean, just dude after dude after dude all over this team, and they just suck. They just can't get it done. They shouldn't be 3-point favorites against anybody. Give me Broncos +3 in this game, going on the road to play a home game.
Mac Daddy's up to like 15 sacks or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have dudes.
Oh, I just love to see Khalil Mack doing it. And Quentin Johnson did catch 5 of his 7 targets last week for 52 yards. So poor efficiency, but he did catch 5 of 7.
He's
2
still
drops,
really bad. Yeah, 2 drops.
Oh, he's not separating. I mean, it's kind of one of the main concerns with him. And I know you'd like to say that he is Mike Williams. I don't see that. Like, he's in college.
See, everybody says he's
different.
People say he's Mike Williams, and that was my gripe from picking him from the beginning, because if he's Mike Williams, you already have Mike Williams, and Mike Williams is Mike Williams. And granted, he got hurt. He tore his ACL. But, I mean, to me, the pick never made sense to begin with. And if you pick him to be Mike Williams, it makes no sense, because Mike Williams is Mike Williams.
But that's the thing. He's not Mike Williams.
Like, no, I know. I know
he's never a go up and get it receiver. He has the size to be, but he's not. He was a catch it in space and make magic happen kind of guy. And that made sense with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams if he could separate, but he can't separate. So you just have a guy who's built like a go up and get it guy, isn't shifty enough to actually separate, and you're trying to get the ball in his hands and he's dropping it when you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Phillip Rivers all over again. Sorry, really Chargers fan.
It really is. So I got to lean to Denver here. I stayed away. The lean was what number did you get that at?
+3.
+3. So I have written down here, I'd take Denver at 3. So I'll add that to my card, because I mean, I wrote it down. If it gets to 3, I'll take Denver. It was at 2.5 when I looked at it yesterday. Denver's defense is playing really well. I think Peyton has them moving in the right direction, and I just think everything is going wrong for the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers are due for a victory. Maybe they win one, but I don't think they win by more than 3.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, next up here, we have the Buffalo Bills in the game of the week. Second game of the week. Excuse me. Definitely not the game of the week. Number 2 game of the week. Buffalo Bills going to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this not gross, Jay?
It shouldn't be, but it kind of is. I mean, the Bills look awful. The Chiefs don't look great. I mean, they can't get anything going on offense whatsoever. I mean, you talk about Justin Herbert doing everything he can. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just looks like a beaten down fucking human out there right now. I mean, it just seems like everything he tries to do just doesn't work. Their offensive line's not playing great. Isaiah Pacheco runs so angry that sometimes I wonder if he even is rating his blocks, because, I mean, when he hits the hole, I mean, he hits it a million miles an hour and is ready to run through a brick wall. And he's also ready to run through a brick wall when he has a wide open hallway. It's frustrating. It's frustrating watching this Chiefs offense, because when Andy Reid or whoever's calling plays for him, Matt Nagy, whoever it is, it seems like every time they call the right thing, everything's ran perfectly and it just doesn't work for some reason. There's
Except
just
for one guy. One guy. It's never the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, just complete disarray. The defense is good. It's their saving grace. And the Bills, like we talked about with the Seahawks and like we talked about with the 49ers, came off a really good game last time we saw them, and a loss. Josh Allen doesn't look great, turning the ball over. Stephon Diggs doesn't seem like he wants to be there. Von Miller is beating women in the state of Texas. I don't know what's going on with either one of these teams right now. I mean, if I'm a Chiefs or a Bills fan, I mean, especially a Bills fan, I mean, they might miss the playoffs entirely. And I mean, this is definitely a get right game for both teams. But whichever team loses, I mean, you got to be. If the Chiefs lose this game, you're not necessarily in panic mode, but I mean, you're right on the verge of it. I mean, it feels like a must win for both teams, but obviously that's not going to happen. So I don't know. What's the spread on it?
It was 2.5. KC was favored by 2.5 when I saw it yesterday.
That line seems right. I would probably put it closer to a pick 'em, but I don't know who I would take in that situation because I mean, if the Chiefs just execute, they should dominate this game, I think. But they just haven't proven that they can execute here recently. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is playing great. I mean, if you watch him play, he's making the plays, he's making the throws, and is just getting let down every step of the way. So I mean, and then Josh Allen on the other hand, he's being typical Josh Allen. He looks great when he looks great, but I mean that moment is right around the corner at all times, and it's very, very much elevated this season with that moment.
Dude, Josh Allen is having one of the most bizarre seasons I've ever seen. Like,
yeah, he's having a Jameis Winston season.
Not even. No, not even. He is number 3 in PFF grade, which Jameis Winston was never near that.
Yeah.
He is, let's see, among quarterbacks with enough dropbacks to qualify. Let's see. He has the 6th best turnover-worthy play rate. He's really not giving a ton of opportunities, just in bad spots. But then again, that doesn't add up either. You look at his EPA per play, adjusted EPA per play, he is 4th in the NFL. Straight up EPA per play, unadjusted, he is 3rd in the NFL. Success rate, he is 2nd in the NFL. EPA CPOE composite, he is 4th in the NFL.
See, I don't look at these numbers, but eye test says something else. I understand on paper he might be playing well, but I mean, just turn on the film, and to me, eye test is not there for me.
I just want to show one more thing here. And can you see this tweet?
I can't see the top of it. It cuts off at Tua. Is there anybody past Tua?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hang on. Technical difficulty. Give me one moment here. Let's see. Share screen. I understand. Here we go. I think I picked the wrong one before. So, win probability added, that's just a metric that says this was your Vegas win probability before this play happened.
Yeah.
This was your Vegas win probability after this play happened. What's the difference? Josh Allen is far away the best in these late game situations in the league at this. EPA per dropback, again, far and away. It's just bizarre. I'm not trying to sell you that Josh Allen is better than you're saying. I'm just saying he's having the weirdest season I've ever seen from a quarterback. None of the numbers make sense. Nothing is adding up.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I know Josh Allen's supposed to be good and he looks good, but like I said, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just coming off as a hater. I don't know, but I mean, it doesn't look good to me.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's just bizarre. I mean, I thought he played outstanding against the Eagles, to be honest, and it sucked. It just ended the wrong way. I felt
like that was one of his better games.
Yeah, I think it was too. But back to this game, Kansas City 2-3 over their last 5 games. Buffalo is 3-5 over their last 8. So both these teams are in a rut. I mean, both these teams are coming off ugly losses that, especially the Bills, that one just That was a
Yeah,
gut punch, man. That was a soul crushing loss.
should have
I
won.
want to trust KC to get it right at home here more than Buffalo to do it on the road. I mean, at Arrowhead, tough place to play. I mean, tough
Very
weather.
tough.
Buffalo knows how to play in it. Like it won't matter. But -2.5. Like, I mean, I have a hard time with this one. Because I think Buffalo's the better roster. I really do. But I think Buffalo
Yeah.
is going through tougher stuff. And
I
like,
mean, I think the Chiefs' defense is better. Buffalo's offense, roster wise, is much better.
so I guess I'm not saying one for one they're better. Like if I go position by position, I think probably the
Yeah.
count goes to KC. But the fact that they have a high quality receiver in Kansas City puts them ahead,
Yeah.
like the roster ahead for me. Receivers just too important that
Yeah.
that big a difference is going to matter to me. So
Yeah.
I'm staying away. I'm leaning towards Kansas City lightly, but I mean, I don't know. That's a tough game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
All right. So do you want
It'll be a fun game.
Do you want to continue going in order, or do you want to save the game of the week for last?
I'm gonna say the game of the week for last.
Okay. So stick around if you want to hear about the game of the week, but we're skipping over it for now to talk about the Green Bay Packers, the elite Jordan Love going to New York to take on, this is Sunday night?
Monday night.
No,
There's
this is
two Monday
Monday
night
night.
games. Two
That's
Monday
right.
night
Okay.
games.
I was like, the Jets are at home too. How are the Giants at home? To take on the New York Giants? What do you think here, Jay?
I'm so fucking done with Matt LaFleur and these fucking Packers. I
Matt
hate
LaFleur's incredible. He's incredible.
I hate Green Bay. I know you're a Bears fan and you hate Green Bay, but I fucking hate
No, you
Green
see,
Bay.
I'll be
And
honest.
I
You
don't
probably hate Green Bay more than I do at this point because I've been so beaten to submission that I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, and it'd be different if like Green Bay just beat the shit out of us, but they always just beat us in the most heartbreaking fashion. And I always was like, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers. And now they're getting hot. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. Their schedule down the stretch is absolutely ridiculous. Jordan Love looks like, how do they keep getting away with this? I mean, it is, I hate them. They're going to beat the shit out of the Giants. They're going to cover. I don't have the game, but they're going to do it. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to break my heart. And I don't think I can emotionally. I don't think I can emotionally handle a Jordan Love loss in the playoffs. I'll just say that right now.
No, that would be brutal. So Green Bay's playing well, but I mean,
Playing
my
great
thing with this game. Here's my thing with this game. I do not think. And I props to Jordan Love, props to the Packers. Matt LaFleur is doing textbook job of how you make your quarterback look good, of how to run the offense, to run the offense with a quarterback who is a rhythm thrower, who is gonna do what he's supposed to do. Like Matt LaFleur is nailing it. But you know what? Wink Martindale is really good at getting those quarterbacks out of their comfort zone and making them make mistakes. And that's something that worries me in this game for taking the Packers, is that Wink Martindale and his balls to the wall defense against an inexperienced quarterback has a recipe for disaster, especially an inexperienced quarterback coming off a bunch of praise because he just beat the world champs.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Giants +7 here if it goes to 7. I saw it at 6.
I hope the Giants beat them. I hope the Giants beat the shit out of them.
I don't know if they're going to win, but I think they're going to make it rough on him. I think Jordan Love is in for a rougher day.
Let's go, Danny DeVito.
And I will. So a Packers fan was texting me. My buddy was texting me during. Yes, I have a buddy who's a Packers fan. I'm a Bears fan. It sucks, but anyways, he was texting me during the game saying like, "Man, Jordan Love's looking pretty good." I hadn't turned the game on yet. I usually don't turn on the evening games till halftime or like the fourth quarter, even because I tell my wife. I give noon to like or 1 p.m. to like 7 p.m. to football on Sundays. Outside of that, I'm just going to turn it on when you go to sleep. So like I turn it on and he's like, you got to go back and watch this 4th down throw. And I go back and watch it and I see, it's incredible play by Romeo Doubs, right? Nice ball. Yeah. But you know what else I see? I see a tight end waving his hands over the middle, wide ass open, just past the first down marker. And I text my buddy back. I go, "Yeah, it was a great play, but he didn't make the right decision."
No, yeah.
Like
And,
that's what I'm seeing with Jordan Love right now. I'm
but they just
seeing a
keep getting
guy
away
who
with it.
he's making plays, but the process isn't right yet on some of it. And on a lot of it, it's Matt LaFleur doing an incredible job. And there were some Packers fans calling for Matt LaFleur to be fired. Do it.
Do
I
it,
want the Bears
please.
to hire him. Do it. I want that guy
Yeah.
as my head coach because he gets it. He knows how to run an offense. He is
Talk-
good at his
Talk
job.
about a guy who knows how to run an offense. We'll get to that shortly.
You talking Mike McDaniel?
His name's Mike, that's for sure.
Tennessee Titans going to Miami. Miami are 13.5-point favorites. What do you think?
This is another one. I'm kind of singular focused this week. I gotta put all my energy towards one specific focus, and I just can't distract myself with Titans Dolphins Monday night. 13.5, give me Dolphins because gross. Dolphins defense is playing well. Levis doesn't look great. He's shown flashes, but I mean, everybody on Tennessee's is just falling dead. I think they're going to mutually part ways with Vrabel. I think Vrabel's going to take the job in New England, and I think Belichick is going to end up coaching the Chargers.
You think Bob Kraft's trading a second-round pick for Mike Vrabel?
No, I think they're going to mutually part ways.
Ooh, I think there's gonna be a trade.
They might make a trade. But either way, I think Vrabel is next up in New England. I think Belichick's going to take a retirement job in LA with a premier quarterback and a defense that can get it done. And he's going to get his coaching staff in there and maybe turn that thing around in LA.
Marty Schottenheimer treatment?
Yeah, possibly. We'll see. But I mean, you talk about a team that's ready to go, and I mean, it would be prove it time for Belichick. Was it you? Was it Brady? Because I mean, he walks into that Chargers locker room, and that's even with his 07 team, his 08 team, his 09 team, those early 2000s teams, those 2013, 14 teams. That I mean, I think that Chargers team's a top 5 team he's ever coached, walking in day one, and I mean, I think that makes sense. I think Vrabel and Tennessee are on they love each other, but I think it's one of those where it's like the love is kind of lost, but they have so much respect for each other that they're not going to fire Vrabel, but Vrabel is also like probably wants another opportunity somewhere. So I wouldn't be surprised if they mutually part ways or Kraft goes out and hires him. But either way, give me Dolphins here because the Titans are so hurt, so injured, and Will Levis is a quarterback, and the Dolphins still have a shot at – everybody has a shot at the number 1 seed, I feel like, in the AFC right now. It's just wide open, so.
That's interesting. The Belichick to the Chargers concept. I hadn't thought that. That's an interesting one, though. Like that, it's an
It's a match made in heaven.
Willing to to go do something like. I mean, it's Marty. They got Marty Schottenheimer back in the day. Like it feels very similar to me.
I mean, it's the perfect match. But I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick can't coach a rebuild. I mean, and the defense right now under the Patriots looks all right. And you give Bill Belichick that defense they have there. They get an offensive coordinator in there. Maybe Josh McDaniels. Maybe Josh McDaniels go in there with him. I mean, and
that's really interesting. That is really interesting. But I
Bill
like
O'Brien maybe. So,
but
yeah,
back to the Titans Dolphins. I got Dolphins minus 13.5. You know what the Dolphins are really good at?
Scoring.
Kicking the shit out of bad teams. You know what I think the Titans are? Bad team.
Yeah.
So this is an automatic for me. Dolphins against bad teams. I'm slamming it. I don't care what the number is. Titans. If they had Jeffrey Simmons on the field, I wouldn't call them a bad team. But they are without Jeffrey Simmons. Will Levis has looked awful outside of that Thursday night game. Which you really think about it, teams don't scout Thursday night games. That was
Yeah.
that was just Will Levis playing street ball.
Playing
now
ball.
teams are scouting him, and he looks bad.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, he doesn't look good. I mean, he looks like Kentucky Will Levis.
hey, he's got fire. I'll give him that. You see him that forced fumble? That was filthy.
One of the greatest plays I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Dude's a ball
I
player.
mean,
He might not be a quarterback, but he's a football player.
has there ever been a oh no, yes moment that was bigger than
Yeah.
that? Like, that was ultimate.
That is the definition of not a quarterback, a football player. I mean, that is. I mean, he's Taysom Hill.
I mean,
Without
Mike
the running
Vrabel might
ability.
bring him with him to New England. That's a Mike Vrabel kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then did you see him jawed with D-Hop on the sideline?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
I
this
mean,
guy's a gamer.
he's something. I'll tell you.
But ultimately, like, where this really gets me is, like, teams with bad secondaries, the Dolphins just trounce.
Yeah.
They destroy them. And Tennessee secondary is just not very good. They trade Kevin Byard to the Eagles. Like, their corners are not up to snuff. And I do not think they're going to be able to stand pace with these Dolphins. I mean, maybe stuff will start to catch up to the Dolphins. Maybe Vrabel has, like, the miracle game plan written in his notebook, like in Waterboy. Like, he's just got the notebook full of plays. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it. I think that Miami's just going to trounce them and take all the Tyreek Hill overs, take all the Miami Dolphins overs. I'm going to do
Tyreek Hill gonna win
a
MVP?
sweet parlay, like, or a round robin. I found round robins this week, and I fucking love them. I won 3 this weekend. It was amazing.
Round
But
robins are fun.
Tyreek Hill should be MVP.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You're
It
right.
might be MVP.
Let's just. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I went to the wrong one. Let's just get to the Eagles going to Dallas, Texas, to take on who? How about them Cowboys?
How about them fucking Cowboys? All right, Dallas Cowboys. Let me say something right now. I was not a fan of the Mike McCarthy hire. I haven't, you know me, I haven't been a huge fan of Dak Prescott throughout his career. I thought,
You have to go
Romo-
back to last year to realize that, folks.
yeah, I thought Romo should have started his rookie year when Romo came back healthy. I mean, it was one of the greatest executed drives you ever seen in his swan song on the way out. Terrence Williams down the sideline for a touchdown. Anyway, the fact that Mike McCarthy took over play calling of this offense 5 weeks ago, and they are by far the best offensive team in the league, absolutely unstoppable. Everything is drawn up to perfection, is almost cause to fucking fire Mike McCarthy for being like, where has this been since you've been here? You had this in you, and you just been passing the buck. I mean, we put up with
So it's
freaking
Brian Schottenheimer, right?
yes. We've put up with Kellen Moore for 3 years. We put up with Brian Schottenheimer half of this season, and then you, Mike McCarthy, take over play calling. All of a sudden, Dak Prescott is far and away playing better quarterback right now than anybody in the league. It's not even debatable whether you like Dak or not. He is playing better quarterback right now than anybody else in the league. CeeDee Lamb looks like a true wide receiver number 1. Brandon Cooks is getting the ball, which I was screaming for all season. Tony Pollard is starting to get going. Rico Dowdle is getting going. Offensive line looks decent, not
Rico Dowdle's
great.
not a real person.
He's not. Offensive line looks good and not great, and you're able to cover up deficiencies on this team with your play calling, with how well everything is executed. And now all of a sudden we have a defensive problem. It's like, where are you at, Dan Quinn? It's like the offense shows up. You have the best offense in the league, and we can't stop Geno fucking Smith. Like, what are we doing here? But the fact that I think we should fire Mike McCarthy for the fact that it took him 3.5 years to take over play calling, and now we're the best offense in the league. Because, I mean, the way that offense looked the past 2 years against the 49ers in the playoffs was absolutely horrendous. It's like, what were we doing? Like, it blows my mind. But Cowboys offense is playing better than anybody in the league right now. I think if their defense can even come back to half the form it was at the beginning of the season. They are an absolute force in the playoffs. And I mean, I'll be the first one to like being apologetic about the Cowboys, apathetic, like just no hope. Like they're good, but like they're gonna let me down. But like this is one of the best teams since I've seen since 2014. Eagles can't keep getting away with it. They didn't get away with it last week. Jalen Hurts is not 100%. I mean, he can't get outside the pocket. He can't run like he can at a high level right now. I mean, yeah, we got to slow down AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. I don't know how we do that. I mean, DK burned us fucking over and over and over again. So I don't know what we do there. But I mean, if we can just slow these guys down, turn Jalen into a pocket passer, get pressure on the quarterback. I mean, I'm taking Cowboys -3 here, -3.5 on some books. I'm hammering it. I mean, I think this is a big time win. They're a different team at home. I said earlier in the podcast, I mean, they were coming off a game against Seattle where Seattle played the best game of their entire season. Seattle plays that game against anybody else in the league, they win by double digits. And not only did Cowboys keep up with them step by step throughout the entire game, and it was ugly. It was officiated so poorly on both sides of the ball. I mean, Seattle was able to stay in every drive for penalties, and then Cowboys got a bunch of lucky breaks too. But the Cowboys Seattle's first 3 drives should have been 3 and out that got extended by penalties. And maybe if they go 3 and out those first 3 drives and Dallas scores, it's a completely different game because then all of a sudden Dallas is up 17-0. And then it's the route's on at that point. But refs kept them in early and then they performed, to credit to them for that. But I mean, Cowboys played a perfect game. I mean, they didn't let the adversity get to them. I mean, they're playing on another level right now. Dak Prescott is, if anybody else, if Josh Allen was having the season Dak's having right now, Patrick Mahomes, even Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the favorite for MVP, and Dak's playing better than him. I mean, it's crazy, but Dak's the MVP right now, and I think if that defensive line can get going and that defense can get going, I mean, this is the best team in football right now. Give me Cowboys -3.
Yeah,
And Mike McCarthy is fucking coach of the year at this point.
I agree with you on a lot of what you said. Coach of the year. I don't know if I can go McCarthy, but
I mean, I'm just saying, probably not coach of the year because I mean, you can't get coach of the year if you gave Brad Schottenheimer the reins for half the season, and then all of a sudden you have an MVP at quarterback, and it's like, I feel like you should get worst coaching performance of the year because maybe we don't lose to the fucking Cardinals if Mike McCarthy's calling plays all season.
So I agree with a lot of what you said, though, and most of what you said, really. And you look at the Eagles' schedule, I mean, they have been through the ringer lately. Like Miami Dolphins, then they took a week off against the Commanders. Then they had the Cowboys, bye week, Chiefs, Bills, 49ers. Like, they played 3 of the best 5-6 teams in football. And they're about to play a 4th.
I mean, they keep winning to their credit. But, I mean, shit kind of hit the fan. I mean, cheese definitely stood off the cracker last week. And
well, like, so these nail-biting victories, though, they're exhausting.
Yeah.
These guys are tired.
They had dead legs. They had dead legs in that San Fran game.
Yeah.
And Cowboys are coming off of a long rest, and they're coming off a fight for their lives against San Fran.
Yeah, there's a lot to like with Dallas here. I wish this number was 3. Right now at 3.5, I'm just leaning it. It hits 3, I'm taking it. But
I got it at 3.
Because I do still think the Eagles are going to fight, but I do think the Cowboys are going to cover 3. Like that win by 3-7.
The only thing about it is I mean, we got to put them away early. I mean, if we let these motherfuckers stay in the game, the Eagles
they're built to play with a lead. They're built to play with a lead. I mean, that's not to say they can't play from behind, but they're built to play with a lead, and that's what they do best.
Yeah.
Now, the Jalen Hurts question is going to be big here, like how he's doing. I mean, I don't agree with David Carr out there saying that Marcus Mariota should be starting the game. I
agree.
win.
I agree in the aspect of if he's not 100%, you're almost basically guaranteed a playoff spot, and you're going to throw him essentially to the wolves. I mean, I know you have the best offensive line in the league, but I mean, if Osa Odigizua, I mean, if this D line gets hot, I mean, you're putting him in a terrible, terrible situation to where, yeah, you might give up the 1 seed, but you're built to play on the road. I mean, Philly is built to win anywhere, and why jeopardize it with your star quarterback if it's not necessarily needed? I understand you want to play at the Link, you want to play at home, you want to play in Philadelphia, but if it's, are we going to be playing at home in the playoffs with Jalen Hurts, or are we going to be playing at home in the playoffs with Marcus Mariota because we put a not 100% Jalen Hurts out there and he gets injured worse? But give me a fully healthy Philly team. I don't care. I want to dog shit this team.
Yeah. So the only reason why I do hesitate is that they got absolutely embarrassed against San Francisco. Like, I wish that game had been closer, just because I would be much more on the Cowboys if it was. But with it being taken to the woodshed like that, that's where I worry, because I think
that worries me
too. Have a little extra juice,
and they got some dogs on that team, and then this freaking Dom guy that everybody seems to love is out there trying to fight players, and Philly's going to do the whole like, whoa, we're Philly, we're scumbags, like we love this fucking guy, like this is our hero, like put a statue of him next to Rocky. They're going to ride for the guy. It's the worst. They're the worst people. And I
also want to note,
I'm also jealous, but I wish the Dallas Cowboys fan base was as scumbaggy as Philly.
I want to note that Jalen Carter has not been the same player since he got hurt against Washington. He has, we can go through his PFF pass rush grades here. First,
Tyler Smith had his lunch last time I played.
Yeah, after he was hurt. That's what I'm saying.
You can only judge head to head.
His pass rush grade was 90.5, then rough game against Minnesota, 58.7, then back up to 83.3, 69, 78, 87, 73. And 73, that's the game where he gets hurt. And after the first 10 snaps of that game, his grade's probably close to 10. The tape is ugly. And then 64, 70, 69, 62, he has just not been the same guy. And I think that impacts their D-line a lot, because he doesn't play every snap. You know, he comes in pass rush situations, but the first half of the season, he dominated those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even his PFF grade, the 59, I watched that tape. I had him graded at like a 78. I don't understand why it's a 58, 59. It's like he was wrecking people.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely could be the injury, but I mean, that was one of the knocks. And I don't even know
if he's on the injury report. I mean,
but
I'm just saying he's not this. Whatever it is, he's not the same guy.
That was one of his biggest knocks coming out. It's like it's all there, but sometimes it's just not there. It's like when he's on, he's the best player in college football, and then sometimes he's not on.
He looks like he might have been the best player in the NFL the first 6 weeks of the season.
Exactly. I mean, and that was one of the big things that people talked about with him coming out, was like, if he wants to be the best player on the field, he can be, but does he want to be the best player on the field? And it might be injury. I mean, I'm not gonna sit
he's
here.
Not on the injury report. It doesn't look like, but I mean we know how much that means. Like,
yeah, but that was his biggest criticism coming out, and if he's not hurt, it's coming to fruition.
Yeah, but I personally think he's just watching that Washington game. The difference between when I think he got hurt until I think he got hurt, and after that was just insane. It was like a completely different player.
Maybe he just got popped and got the yips.
Maybe. I mean, he left the game with a back injury. That's what I'm pointing to as like the difference is he left the game with what the Eagles said was a back injury.
Yeah, so maybe he's healthy now, but he's just playing
out of
scared.
rhythm.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, because you get popped in the back like that. I mean, back hurt. Like, you get hit in the back, it freaking hurts. So it's like, then it's in the back of your mind, and then instead of instead of just playing free and playing football, it's always in the back of your mind. You're like, oh, I don't want to put myself in a bad situation, and it's to a detriment to your play.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's just as simple as
He's still
got
hurt.
hurt and it's still impacting him a
Lingering,
little
yeah.
bit. I hate to start calling a guy soft in any way.
I never said he was. I mean,
Yeah. No, you're right.
it's-
I'm putting words in your mouth.
it's-
Excuse me. That wasn't fair.
yeah, I mean, it's human nature. I mean, it's the same way if you hurt your leg, you tend to more times than not hurt your other leg because you subconsciously like try to
Overcompensating.
overcompensate. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. You get popped one time in the back, then maybe subconsciously, I mean, you just don't do like you're not playing free basically.
A player as bendy and flexible as he is in weird positions, and who's like one of the things that makes him so incredible is the power he generates from positions that no one should be able to generate power from is incredible.
Yeah,
And like that is a back that your back is going to impact that significantly if you are not using it 100%.
yeah.
But what do you say we talk a little bit of college football before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I just have a couple futures going into bowl season. So I got Texas Longhorns plus 260 to win the national championship. I thought they got a good draw with Washington for the fact that I think they're explosive enough to score, and I think that defensive line is nasty, and I think they can get after it. And if they can get after Michael Penix, they could slow him down, which will help slow down the great receivers of Washington. I would have had Washington in the national championship against Bama or Michigan, honestly, if they had drawn either one of them, but they got Texas. I think Texas matches up the best against them. And so for that, I got UT at plus 260 to win the national championship. And then I also have Alabama versus Texas in the national championship at plus 275.
Yeah, I can, man. So part of this is just the matchup I want to see. I want to see Washington, Bama.
Yeah,
I want to see those sick Bama cornerbacks going against those incredible Washington wide receivers, just duking it out. I think that would be incredible. And I don't think there's a defense in the country that can slow down Washington. I just think their receivers are too damn good.
I mean, they were slowed down the 4 weeks leading up to Oregon.
Were they?
They did not play great. That's why they were 10-point underdogs going into the Oregon game. Didn't look great at all. Didn't look great against Arizona. Didn't look great against Washington State. Didn't look great against.
Didn't look against Oregon State, was it?
Oregon State. Yeah, I mean they didn't look great down the stretch.
That game was in pouring rain, though. I will say.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they didn't look great down the stretch. But I mean, they're gonna have plenty of time to prepare, and I don't think it's really about slowing down the receivers. I think they're going to be able to get after Michael Penix with that defensive line, and I think that's
Arizona State's the only team that slowed him down, really. Though, I mean, like Oregon State, they scored 22 in the pouring rain. That game was fluky as hell. Arizona State held them to 15. I'll give them credit on that. But every other game, I mean, they scored 24 against Washington State, so not great, but not bad. 34 against Oregon, 35 against Utah, 52 against USC. Who cares? 36 against Oregon the time before, 31 against Arizona, 59. Like, I just think this.
Yeah, but I guess it's the worst defense in the country.
Where my thought process is, maybe it's not so much that they will put up disgusting points against everybody; it's that they will keep up with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, so I think Texas offense is good enough to score on them. I mean, I'm not worried about that. Like I said, I think that defensive line for Texas is nasty, and they're going to get after it. I think Texas might have the best defensive line in the playoff, and historically speaking, defense
freak.
Yeah, historically speaking, defensive lines in these playoff scenarios. I mean, you look back to the Clemson run. I mean, that defensive line ate everybody's lunch. And historically speaking, these games aren't going to be close. But this also on paper is the most competitive playoff we've ever had. So maybe it's different this year. Maybe the the swan song of the 14 playoff is different, but historically speaking, defensive line wins in the playoff, and it's not going to be close. And but
in
if
recent history,
Washington beats Texas, I think Washington wins it all. I think the winner of Washington Texas wins the national championship. But I think Texas is going to beat Washington.
In recent history, I mean, with Georgia, the D lines, have dominated. But prior to that, I mean, I almost wonder how close is wide receiver to D line.
I mean, the only
wide receiver has done really well in the college football playoff too.
I'm just thinking of the LSU team right now when you said that.
LSU,
Ohio State
when they had Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs and who was the third guy there? The Mac Jones championship team that was loaded as loaded.
Waddle. Was Jamison Williams the third on that?
Yeah, Jama was.
But
and then those Clemson, the Deshaun Watson Clemson teams were stacked at wide receiver too.
That defensive line that Clemson had that year, they won. That was unreal.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying D line that wide receiver matters more. I just wonder how close they are because I think that they might be closer than we were realizing.
Yeah, and that may be true, but I mean, those teams with those wide receivers, I mean, I think those were also like far and away the best team. Like, I don't think we have a far and away best team this year.
Okay.
So I think the offensive numbers might have been a little bit extrapolated from just being so much better everywhere that they were able to just throw it all over the field. And I mean, Washington, maybe they are that. I don't know. But
and with the college game, with the hashes being the way they are, I just think it's a game that receivers can dominate more easily than there aren't as many advantages to the D line as there are receivers in the college game. And I think that impacts my opinion some.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, I like Texas to win that game. But like I said, I think the winner of that game wins the national championship. I think Michigan's the worst team out of this four. I think Bama. I think it's gonna be Bama, and it's gonna be either Texas or Washington. But I like Texas. I like that D line, and I think they can do enough offensively to get a lead. And I think they're gonna get after Michael Penix pretty easily. So
I will say I think that Michael Penix's receivers make Michael Penix look a lot better than Michael Penix is. So
yeah,
I could see
him in Indiana,
him blowing a game. Yeah.
It's like,
all right. Real quick, let's just throw the model up here for those who stuck around long enough to see it. The model loves everything this week, pretty much. Loves Houston, loves Tampa, loves Jacksonville, which Jacksonville you might want to temper on because I didn't adjust for the quarterback. I'll usually adjust for a quarterback being out, but it was unclear whether Lawrence would be out or not, so I left it normal. Loves Detroit, loves San Fran, loves the Chargers, the Cowboys, and the Green Bay Packers. And it likes the over in Rams Baltimore, over in Carolina New Orleans, over in Indy Cincinnati, over in Jacksonville Cleveland, over in Detroit Chicago, under in Minnesota Raiders, and under in Buffalo Kansas City. And there is no weather adjustment for this, so keep that in mind with all these overs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a fun week. There's some gross games for sure, but I mean, the marquee games, I think they're gonna live up to the hype. I think, call it gross, call it whatever. I think Kansas City, Buffalo is gonna be a great game. I think Dallas, Philadelphia is gonna be a great game. I think Bears, Lions has the potential to be a great game.
Sometimes the grossest weeks give you like the most incredible games.
Yeah, and good luck to everybody. Good luck to everybody in the fantasy football trying to make playoffs last week going before playoffs. So good luck to all y'all out there. I missed the playoffs with one of the most stacked rosters I've ever seen in my life. So yeah.
Are they chanting tank?
I think so.
Chant,
maybe it sounded like
chant. I like that. Chanting for a chant. All right.
Well, that's gonna do it for this week. Week 14 coming down to the end of it. Been a great season so far, and we've been saying it all year. Not going to stop now. Don't sleep on them Texans.
Don't do it.
I don't think anybody is at this point, but don't sleep on the Texans.
I think we picked too good of one.
But that'll be it. Y'all have a good one.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.